Hello, everyone. This is Sam Ridgway with another episode of Tales with Crypto with our resident guru, Cameron Sykes. Cameron, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing exceptionally well again. And today, I think we're going to go over the status of BitCoin, what it's been doing recently. We might also look at one of the picks that you had. It's up about 45%, I think you said. And then in addition to that, maybe some places where you can get NFTs for cheaper than you can on an Ethereum based network like OpenSea. So without further ado, as always, Cameron, why don't you just head into it and let's just start off.
All righty, let's rock and roll. So we're nearing the end of another week, and it looks like there's actually hope on the horizon because as of this morning, Bitcoin's rallying finally, and it's currently sitting at a little over 40,000. Now, the quote unquote experts are calling the bottom, and the next leg of a new bull run could be right around the corner. But I still suggest proceeding with a bit of caution because Bitcoin continues to correlate strongly with the traditional indices like the S&P and the NASDAQ. So we may need to wait for those markets to settle down and stabilize before Bitcoin really starts making moves. But keep an eye on it because for all I know, I could be wrong. Even the experts, no one knows what they're talking about. They're all best guesses. So hopefully, by this time next week, we're at 60,000 and I could say, hey, the market's woken up. Bull market is, alive and well again. But Bitcoin isn't the only coin moving the market right now. My personal favorite back, Quant, is up over 45% the last week. And that's definitely a very pleasant reversal of a several month-long downtrend. So the real question is, why is Quant waking up now? And I think Quant has been rising possibly due to the network interest in central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. And as the Quant network expects to enable open access to the digital currencies issued by central banks. And yesterday, the Boston Federal Reserve and MIT released their findings on their tech research into CBDCs. And one of the most notable findings was that their work produced one code base capable of handling 1.7 million transactions per second. And that's really insane. And that's well above the basic benchmark of 100,000 per second, which they were actually expecting. And it's even exponentially more transactions per second than anything else in existence. And this is all very bullish for Quant because it's believed that their overledger technology is actually behind it all. And so with the very first of countless CBDs set to be released sometime this year, and it's probably will be India, we may see Quant's price grow rapidly to new all-time highs. In fact, I'm betting on it. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Quant is in the top 5 coins by market cap by end of year. And I really think it has potential to surpass Bitcoin with the top market cap by 2030. And so I know those are lofty predictions here, but, I really firmly believe that there's so much utility there that by 2030, it could, quite frankly, totally surpass flip Bitcoin for the number 1 coin by market cap. And I'm willing to bet it's going to be in the top 5 coins by market cap by the end of the year.
What I've seen in the market, and this is aside from Quant, which is amazing, and especially when you see something with that kind of technology come around, because you see that the technology is recognized as the price goes back up, and people are like, "My God, that's incredible!" Like, what does Visa do? Like, not even close to that, right? As far as transactions. Okay, so that's what we're up against. We're up against the Visa, MasterCard, that kind of thing. So that's amazing. But what I've seen in the market is we've had these fluctuations, but the crazy thing is for the past couple of weeks or so, the fluctuations have been almost predictable. Like you could buy some stuff when the market just tanks, right? And just you see it tank, it falls apart, comes down, and then within a few days it comes back up. And now it's, you could have made, I mean, 10-15% off of something, and you could consistently have done that. So I'm not saying that people day trade or anything like that, but if you do have the ability to do that, there is a predictable market right now for the most part that I don't think it's going to hit lower than when it is. So I think it's a safe bet to start buying this stuff when you see the market tanks, and then when it goes up, 10%, don't get greedy. 8%, something like that, sell it off and wait for things to come back down. You could have made a small fortune doing that over the course of the past few months. But anyway, that's just one of the things that I've seen. It seems to be a little bit more predictable as far as the lows and the highs have been.
No, so I continue. I completely agree. And what you're saying about how Quant is also up against, Visa, Visa, MasterCard, it's interesting to note that Quant's CEO, Gilbert Veridian, was the head of cybersecurity for MasterCard. And that was before he ended up working for the Federal Reserve. And so He's a big guy and he's connected. And I think Visa and MasterCard and basically all the main, credit card companies right now are adopting blockchain technology to process these payments. And I think most of those will be facilitated through Quant's overledger technology. And so I think they're really going to have potential to capture the entire payments market globally. And it would basically be using the gas fees will be basically essentially paid in Quant tokens instead of Ethereum type of thing, because they're connecting all the different blockchains together and allowing them to be interoperable. So it's exciting stuff, and so definitely something to keep an eye on. But all right, switch pace and get into a little bit of NFT stuff. So this week we're continuing our discussion to NFTs, and prior this week we've only discussed Ethereum-based NFTs available on OpenSea. However, there are other places to snag NFTs and make a profit, and one of those is via Terra's NFT marketplace. Now, we've already talked about Luna, which is the native token of Terra's ecosystem. Terra's ecosystem is flourishing right now, and they have a number of projects ranging from Anchor Protocol to synthetic asset trading platform Mirror Protocol. Random Earth is actually one of the most popular NFT marketplaces on Terra's ecosystem, and it holds a number of collections of NFTs, and it's particularly known for hosting one of the most popular NFTs, Galactic Punks. And one benefit to using Terra's platform opposed to OpenSea, which is Ethereum-based, is that there are no ridiculous gas fees, which you typically have to pay when making Ethereum-based transactions. So this means you have a lower cost basis and have to achieve a lower return benchmark in order to make a profit. And so that's huge right now. That means it costs less money to buy these NFTs. That allows you to get more of them. And because of those low fees, more people are going to be flooding into this ecosystem as it grows. And that's going to help you, flip these things for even greater profit. So this is a great opportunity, and you can get those on randomearth.io, and you pay for these things in Luna tokens. So be sure to purchase those in order to pay for the NFTs that you're looking to buy.
Yeah, some of our gas fees when we were doing the NFT thing, I mean, it was well over $100, right? Just the gas fees.
Yeah, and if you're trying to go and find those like diamond in the rough, something that hasn't really exploded yet, and get in there early, I mean, that could be the difference between doubling. I mean, if you go and try to buy something for under 0.05 ETH, and then you're having to go pay like $100 gas fee, that essentially doubles your cost basis. And so now you need to double that, sell it for double the profit in order to break even, just right there. And so for opportunities like that, I think, marketplaces like Terra or even Avalanche, those are the spots to go. Solana is probably the big one right now. But I think all those places, those are really going to be the ones that people should probably start focusing on right now, because there's none of those gas fees. And as crypto continues to explode and there's more and more billionaires who are coming into the space, those guys are going to invest in NFTs that come from their ecosystem. So as you see all these guys from inside Solana who are going to become billionaires, aren't going to be on OpenSea buying NFTs based on Ethereum. They're going to be buying Solana NFTs, and the same goes for people with Avalanche, and the same goes with Terra. And so if you want to go and buy these and just hold it for 6 months to a year, I think you can easily see well over 10, maybe even 100x if you're really good at it. But only for like a more long-term flips, because those marketplaces are still growing, they're still young, and they don't have necessarily the same volume as you would on OpenSea. So it may not be as easy to flip, but at this stage in the game. But a lot of room for return, and I think it's a really good opportunity. So definitely something to check out.
So just to understand, if you go out there and you use like Terra Luna to purchase, you're purchasing the NFT with Luna, right?
Yeah.
And then you're going to use any fees that you would incur would be through Luna. And then when you go to sell it, people buy it with Luna. I mean,
exactly.
All of those things have to happen with Luna when you go to that spot. So
exactly.
When you do these things, or go to Solana or go to whatever it is, when you're getting into it, you understand that that's kind of the niche that you're in, that market in. I'm in Solana, I'm in Terra Luna, I'm in Ethereum, but you can't swap them out, right? You're not like buying Ethereum to go switch to Terra Luna.
I wish it was. Ultimately, I think that's where things are going to have to go in order for these to be as transactional as possible. Like adding liquidity and allow some person able to come in, or a project able to come in, and were able to provide that liquidity by, if you're selling something for based in Luna, you can go buy it with something else and it somehow facilitates a transaction in between and makes money. That's where things are ultimately going to go. But I don't think there's anything out there that does it right now.
I think the gas fees prevent that, because why wouldn't you buy something with Ethereum and then pay gas fees on Luna, which relatively non-existent, right? I mean,
Yeah, they're
so
not like the difference between what proof of work and proof of stake.
yeah.
And so it's a totally different, mathematical process that's going on there. And so you don't have to pay those fees, and the networks aren't nearly as congested. So even if you were doing it a proof of work, it's still the fees would still be less than that of OpenSea, just because the Ethereum network is more congested than Terra's.
Yeah, but I think everybody agrees that Ethereum really needs to work on those gas fees, because that might be fine for the the industrial investor, that those kind of guys who really don't care about a couple $100, here and there, even a couple thousand, whatever the case may be. But to the retail investor, if you want to get people to buy into it, if you want this to become like where the masses use it, the average person has a problem paying a couple $100 just to get something from point A to point B. And that's been a bitch about the Ethereum network for quite a while now, which is why they're trying to change it. So I think they're almost going with, so I think it's good competition again, right? Solana, Luna, Terra Luna, those kind of things. They bring that into where Ethereum has to fix this, because if you don't fix it, Ethereum, you're not going to be around, right? You might have your own little niche market or something, but the average person is going to use the Terra Luna, Solana, Avalanche. They're going to use those things to actually get the cost down to a place to where you're not paying as much for the product as you are to get it from point A to point B.
Yeah, I think they are serious long-term threats to Ethereum, and I think Ethereum's biggest downfall is going to be those gas fees, because that opened up the door for them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're noticing that, hey, like this is kind of fucked up that we're having to pay so much for this, we're not the only ones thinking that way. And so the big money's coming in. They're like, if I'm going to put money into anything, it's going to be in something that doesn't cost me as much, and I can get more of a return out of, and we could actually see more growth. Maybe Ethereum's growth projection isn't as maybe there's not as much more room to grow for Ethereum as people think, whereas there's so much potential with Solana, Avalanche, and Terra's ecosystems. And so
Or
that's
Ethereum fixes the gas fee problem, and then they have the infrastructure, they have the amount of time that they've been doing this and perfecting it. They have all those things. I don't think anybody's arguing that Ethereum is a great platform. They're saying that it's too expensive for the average retail user to use, and that's 100% true. So they're going to either need to fix that, or it's going to be like the Nordstroms of, and
yeah,
most people don't shop at Nordstrom's. So I
no.
mean, that's what you got. So either fix it, or you're probably going to be stuck off into a little bitty section by yourself with a whole bunch of people that can afford your product.
Yeah, and one interesting thing that I'm surprised they haven't put more effort into addressing is the user interface of all these Ethereum-based platforms. It's really, it's honestly horrible. So like anyone just trying to get into the crypto space, that's such a big barrier to entry, just because it's more kind of catered towards kind of coder nerd people who understand that stuff rather than just the average Joe. And what's really interesting about that, so I had a conversation with a friend earlier this week who's working for this company called Hedgehog Markets, where it's a big predictive marketplace where you can basically place bets on any event that happens in the world. And they hired him on there to basically be their head of user interface. And so a lot of these Solana-based projects are really putting effort into making the user experience much more appealing to just average Joes and just people out there. And so what they could be developing is something like the difference between, like, all right, Ethereum is just basically a PC, but then Mac comes along, that's Solana, and basically the biggest difference is it's more like it's just better user interface and just prettier site and just easier to use, and that makes
And less of a learning curve, right? I
yeah,
mean, I don't want to have to attach to my MetaMask wallet and throw some Ethereum over there so I can convert it to something, to be able to stick it into
yeah,
another, to be able to transfer it over. That's not the normal person. Normal person isn't all geeky like that. That's,
no,
there is a segment of that. The normal person wants a nice interface. They want to be able to say, send cash to Bob. Done, right?
yeah.
That's where we need to get.
Make it simple, stupid. That's what they need to do. And I think we're going to start seeing more of that stuff from Solana and probably these other ecosystems as well. But I know they're kind of leading the way in that part.
Which then also begs the question of, is it a good bet to look at Solana? I mean, Solana's been down just like anything else. The Terra Luna, I mean, everything's been down, and everything right now is at a pretty good buying place if you're
Yeah,
really looking for these things.
I think Solana is a great buy, and they're a great buy and hold. I mean, I think, and I said I think Quant will be one of the top 5. I think Solana will be in the top 5 as well. I think it realistically be end of the year will be Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then it could be Solana, Quant, potentially Avalanche, Luna, or someone else. But I think those are a strong potential top 4 for the end of the year.
All right. Well, we're at 15 minutes. So, Cameron, I appreciate everything, all your research, all the rest of stuff. We'll be back next Wednesday for another session. And things are actually not looking bad in the market. We did have, of course, this huge dump, and it went way down. But I think just based upon performance over the past few weeks, we're kind of looking at the bottom, and it goes up a little bit, comes back down, goes up. It's almost like it's just going to boom, just
I
shoot
know.
to the top sometime.
Yeah,
It's just when.
yeah, I do feel like I do feel like the bottom's in. I don't know if we're going to be dicking around price, just kind of here and there, just bouncing back and forth for a while before we actually start seeing serious bullish moves upward. But we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm very optimistic, and I really do think that by the end of the year, it's going to be the craziest year in crypto history, and we're just kind of off to a slow start. And so that just means it's going to get even crazier as it goes on. So I'm excited.
All right, I'm in. All right, Cameron, thanks again. We'll talk next Wednesday.
All right, thanks, man. Take it easy.